Oh, hello there, D23.
We have quite a showcase from Disney Entertainment.
Put something together for you.
Wow, let's get started.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. D23 was this past weekend, and Marvel just announced that in addition to them bringing Robert Downey Jr. back as a version of Doctor Doom for those next two Avengers movies, now they're also bringing him back as his original Iron Man from the 616 universe for some special stuff. So we'll break it all down. It's not as confusing as it sounds, and without hearing the full explainer, it does sound pretty confusing. Like, wait a minute, are they just bringing him back for everything? What's going on? If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. This past weekend at D23, it was a bit of a trailer fest. Like, Marvel dropped a bunch of trailers. I've got a pile of them I'm still working through right now, but I got Super 6, which is taking me a little bit longer to actually make all those videos. There are a couple that I've already posted, so I'll put them in the description below. But buried between all the trailers that Marvel was dropping for the upcoming movies and shows, there was also a big reveal from Bob Iger, CEO of Disney, and Kevin Feige, who revealed that both Disney and Marvel were bringing Robert Downey Jr. back as his original Iron Man for two separate projects on top of the upcoming movies.
Oh, it's good to be back.
The first is for something called the Stark Flight Lab, as in Tony Stark, Stark Industries Flight Lab. This is one of the new attractions at the Avengers campus at the Disneyland, Disney World theme parks, basically all the Disney parks around the world. If you have not been to any of the Disney theme parks around the world that have any of these Avengers campuses, the Marvel movie actors record a bunch of extra scenes specifically for different events all around the different parks, even for the cruise stuff. There's been a real big Spider-Man event with Tom Holland doing a bunch of new Spider-Man scenes. There was a new Avengers team-up they did recently featuring the return of Ultron fighting a bunch of people who will be in those next two Avengers movies, including Sam Wilson's Captain America, like I just did a Captain America Brave New World Comic-Con trailer video with Red Hulk stuff. Kinda looks like Red Hulk there stepped on a giant Lego. You can kind of see they use a lot of this stuff to play around with combinations of characters and scenes that they're thinking about doing in the upcoming Avengers movies. Like, we'll just use this as a testing ground to have some fun with these characters. But the other big Iron Man thing that they're bringing Robert Downey Jr. back for is called the Avengers Infinity Defense, where the current Avengers and new characters that will show up in the next couple Avengers movies, will all fight together against someone they're calling King Thanos. He's supposed to be a version of Thanos who defeated his Avengers during the events of Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame and went on to rule over a completely remade universe. You probably remember seeing all the King Thanos artwork from like a couple years ago. Like, that's how long they've been cooking this stuff up. From the way they're presenting this, it seems like he's been ruling over the universe for a long time. Like, he's just way older, like you see old man Thanos in the comics. But it's the same basic type of armor. Like, it sounds like he had the dwarves make him more hardcore armor and the crown itself, but his blade weapon is basically the same weapon that he had during Avengers Endgame. I think that Robert Downey Jr.'s new Iron Man stuff that he's recording for this is a little bit smaller than the Stark Flight Lab stuff. But this is just meant to be a logical extension of what Thanos' plan was during Avengers Infinity War, then Avengers Endgame. Like, originally, he was just going to snap half of all life. Then after the young version came back in Avengers Endgame, he said that he was going to wipe the entire universe and start over from the ground up in his own image. This one is supposed to feature a bunch of battles against King Thanos and his forces, Infinity War style, with them divided up across different areas, like different battlegrounds. One is Wakanda, one is New York City, and the other is supposed to be Asgard, but not New Asgard, the original Asgard. The reason why Bob Iger, Kevin Feige had to make this big announcement at D23 about Robert Downey Jr. coming back as his Iron Man for this is they aren't just recasting some other sound-alike actor and making it a voiceover-only role inside the Iron Man armor. Because it would be really easy for Disney to do something really shady like that and try and save a buck. Like, just bring some rando who can mimic his voice in and never show his face. In the past, that's what they have done when they don't want to pay an actor to actually come back and redo their character for some special event outside of the actual movies. But now, this is probably how Disney is able to justify Robert Downey Jr.'s mega payday for coming back as Doctor Doom in Avengers 5 and Avengers 6, so it becomes part of his larger new contract with them. This isn't just him doing Disney and Marvel a solid, recording a bunch of new Iron Man scenes as his original Iron Man for these new things. There's no way he's going to roll out of bed to do a bunch of work for them like this without getting paid for it. And the Iron Man character, the brand, is just so fundamental to the MCU's existence, just in general. They want all the extra Iron Man juice that they can get out of Robert Downey Jr. Like, squeeze all the Iron Man juice out of him before it's too late. But his previous contract was up after Avengers Endgame, so like they can't get him to actually record stuff. Like they can't say, you have to come back, it's in your contract, until he signs a special contract that says he has to come back to do this. So it sounds like behind the scenes at Disney, there were a couple different divisions, like the parks people, who were like their own complete separate division from the movie people, who wanted more Robert Downey Jr. Iron Man stuff. Kevin Feige, the MCU movie people, also wanted him back for their larger Doctor Doom plans in Avengers 5 Doomsday and Avengers 6 Secret Wars, and that was really like the beginning of it. Like that was the much bigger deal because he's going to have to do way more work for those two movies. And it was going to cost them so much money to bring him back. Bob Iger, Disney CEO, is justifying that payday, like signing on the dotted line, by also rolling in the new Iron Man stuff he's going to have to film for them. Like, we'll pay you extra dump trucks of money, but you also have to do some Iron Man stuff for us too. As far as we know, his current movie contract for Doctor Doom is $85 million per Avengers movie with some perks on top of that, and that's per movie. If it wasn't clear, I know there's going to be a bunch of questions about this for the next couple of years. He will not be the main version of Doctor Doom after Secret Wars. It's just for these next two Avengers movies.
New mask. Same task.
I've seen a lot of theories about the main version of Doctor Doom showing up after he's done as his Doctor Doom in Secret Wars. We'll see about that. Marvel's also still planning on doing that big reboot after Secret Wars to fix a lot of their continuity issues and generally just clean up a lot of stuff behind the scenes. There are a lot of story-based things, actors that they want to recast, and continuity that they want to clean up with all the extra characters and IP that they got now that they got all the Fox, X-Men, Fantastic Four characters back. And even though they do have a way of explaining how all these characters are slowly coming together in Avengers Secret Wars, it's always easier to explain that stuff going forward, especially for like brand new audiences, by just calling it a reboot. Like, I'll just say you're doing a reboot and you don't have to explain anything.
It's Wolverine.
You're damn straight it is. Disney brought him back. They're gonna make him do this till he's 90.
All the stuff they referenced in Deadpool and Wolverine, like the pre-MCU Marvel movies, then everything from Marvel Phase 1 to Marvel Phase 6 through Secret Wars is like a completely separate thing from what's happening with Marvel Phase 7 going forward. Robert Downey Jr.'s contract for the new Iron Man stuff he's doing probably just like a small fraction of what he's getting paid for the Doctor Doom stuff. Like they'll throw a little bit of money on top of that. Like, you're filming a couple scenes, we'll give you a couple extra dollars. The more surprising thing, I think, is that they're calling him the 616 version of Iron Man on a lot of these slides here. Like, what? Why don't you just call him somebody from another universe? It'd be way easier to say he's that Iron Man. Originally, my understanding is that all the Avengers campus stuff, like the theme park stuff that Disney did, like all the extra scenes they did with the live-action MCU actors, was meant to be in like a completely separate universe set earlier in the timeline. Just to explain why everybody was wearing different armor suits, or like Spider-Man was wearing a different suit, or Iron Man was wearing an earlier armor suit before the current movies that were releasing at the time. Really good example of this is when Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame was happening, he showed up in the Avengers campus wearing an earlier Iron Man armor, so people were like, wait a minute, where does this fall in the timeline? If you look at the Infinity Defense stuff that they showed off, like these scenes, Hulk is in his Avengers Endgame suit, this is the Shuri version of Black Panther, but Iron Man's armor looks more like his Age of Ultron armor than his Endgame armor. So generally when it comes to stuff like this, I think they just let the parks people do their own thing with the characters so that the movie people don't have to worry about it. Like, it's not meant to be canon to the movies or the shows. But I believe all the brand new Robert Downey Jr. Iron Man stuff that he's doing is meant to happen around the same time that his Doctor Doom stuff will be happening in the movies. Like, they want to build on the synergy of all this stuff. Like, you're excited about Robert Downey Jr. coming back. Well, he's also coming back here as Iron Man doing this stuff too. Please stop asking all the theme park actors about continuity issues. This is getting confusing. Speaking of which, Deadpool actually just showed up at the Disney theme parks with Wolverine doing a whole bunch of storytime funny stuff. So if you go to the Disney parks right now, you could probably see a version of Deadpool doing stuff like this. Right now, Avengers 5 Doomsday is still supposed to come out May 2026, and Avengers Secret Wars in May 2027. They're doing the same Infinity War and Endgame thing where they come out in back-to-back years. For those of you asking if Robert Downey Jr. will ever come back as a version of Iron Man in the movies, I'm actually not expecting that now that they're doing this big Doctor Doom twist. Now it's more likely that if we see a version of Iron Man during Secret Wars or during Avengers 5 Doomsday, and I do think we'll see another version of Iron Man, it'll be from a completely separate universe played by a completely separate actor. Everybody now wondering if they're actually going to get Tom Cruise to show up as Superior Iron Man. My theory now, though, is that whoever does show up as that alternate version of Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr.'s Doctor Doom will wind up killing him in whichever movie he appears in. I've already done a bunch of videos about Robert Downey Jr.'s Doctor Doom and what they've announced about his character, like how the story's going to work out, how this is connected to the new Fantastic Four movie, so I'll post links to that down in the description below and at the end of this. There's a bunch more D23 Marvel trailers and other trailers that I'm working on, so I'll try to post those as quickly as possible as my voice starts to heal. Click here for that Daredevil Born Again trailer, and click here for that new Fantastic Four movie trailer. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.